He wants you, but he's hiding it. And the silence you're hearing right now, it's not because he doesn't care, it's because he's terrified. Of himself, of you, of what it means to be drawn to someone he can't fully control. Because that's what this is, isn't it? You feel it. That magnetic pull. That strange emotional static between you, like unfinished words lingering in the air. He watches you more than he speaks to you. He hovers in the background of your life, slipping into your thoughts without even trying. And yet, he says nothing, does nothing, vanishes when you lean in, appears when you finally pull away. You're left wondering, if he wants me, why is he so silent? Let me tell you something that will change how you see this forever. A man who truly wants you, but is hiding it, is playing a psychological game he doesn't even fully understand. This isn't just about fear of rejection. This is about his relationship with power, his relationship with control, and most importantly, his relationship with his own feelings. You, in this equation, are the threat. Not because you're wrong for him, but because you're everything that could make him lose himself. And for a man who's not grounded in emotional maturity, losing control of his emotions feels like losing control of his identity. That's why he stays silent. That's why he withdraws just when things feel real. Because deep down, he's already addicted. And he knows it. But he's scared that you'll realize your power before he figures out how to manage his. See, when a man wants you but hides it, he's doing something incredibly fragile. He's protecting his ego from a woman who might just shatter it. Because when you walk into his life with self-respect, confidence, and feminine energy that doesn't beg for approval, you don't just attract him, you challenge him. You make him confront the parts of himself he's been avoiding for years, his insecurities, his fear of intimacy, his need to control the pace, the tone, the direction of every emotional connection. You are the one thing he didn't prepare for. A woman who doesn't chase. A woman who doesn't beg. A woman who waits with power, not desperation. And that terrifies him. So instead of approaching you directly, he studies you. He watches your stories, likes your posts, randomly texts you after days of silence, comments on things that make no sense, brings up your name in group settings but won't reach out when you're alone. His behavior is inconsistent, but his energy is loud. He's trying to create just enough presence to stay in your mind, while avoiding the vulnerability of actually being seen. It's emotional camouflage. A man who wants you but hides it is performing emotional espionage. He's gathering intel, testing the waters, seeing if you'll break first. But what happens when you don't? What happens when you stay in your feminine power? Silent, steady, unbothered? That's when he starts to spiral. Because the moment a man realizes you've noticed his desire, but refuse to act on it, that's when his mask begins to crack. And here's why this moment is everything. It's the psychological turning point where the man either evolves or disappears. Not because you weren't enough, but because you were too much for the version of himself that still needed to play games to feel secure. And this is where your detachment becomes your protection. Your silence, your space, your refusal to chase. These aren't punishments. They're mirrors. Mirrors that show him who he really is. Mirrors that reveal the truth he's been hiding, not just from you, but from himself. Because the truth is, most men weren't taught how to feel. They were taught how to conquer, how to perform, how to win. Wanting a woman too much? That's weakness. Being emotionally vulnerable? That's dangerous. So when a man meets a woman who ignites something deeper in him, a kind of pull that goes beyond lust, beyond validation, beyond control, he doesn't know how to process it. His instinct isn't to step closer, it's to retreat, to test you, to hide behind silence, because his mind is still trying to maintain power, while his heart is already surrendering. That's the war happening inside him. A war he doesn't want you to see. Because if you saw it, you'd see him for real. And nothing scares him more than that. So he hides it. He'll downplay his feelings. He'll act casual. He'll disappear just long enough to make you question your worth. Then reappear with a smile or a compliment, like nothing happened. And every time you respond, every time you give in just a little, he regains control of the emotional scale. He wants you, but he wants you under his emotional terms. On his time. At his pace. That's not love. That's management. That's ego preservation. And you weren't born to be someone's emotional convenience store. You weren't built to wait around for a man to finally admit what his energy has already screamed. So what do? You detach. You reclaim. You shift the power dynamic. Not with words, not with ultimatums, but with silence. With calm. With presence. You let your energy speak for you. You stop trying to make him confess. You stop trying to decode his patterns. You stop giving your power away to a man who hasn't earned access to your mind, because if he wants you, he'll have to face himself first. And most men don't. Most men aren't ready. But when you stop needing him to be ready, that's when you win. Because detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop chasing clarity from people who live in confusion. You stop begging for honesty from someone who isn't even honest with himself. You rise above the noise, the mind games, the hot and cold confusion. You become the mirror that no man can ignore. Not because you force him to see you, but because you become the one thing his ego can't control. Peace. Because feminine power is quiet, but it echoes. It's not loud. It's not desperate. It just is. And when a man truly wants you, and I mean truly, he'll either rise into his courage or collapse into his fear. And if he chooses fear, that's not your loss. That's your confirmation. Because a man who hides his desire out of fear isn't ready for a woman who leads with self-worth. So stop waiting for the text. Stop checking his stories. Stop wondering what his silence means. His silence is the answer. His mixed signals are the message. He wants you, but he doesn't know how to want you without losing the parts of himself that still rely on control. And until he learns to surrender to real intimacy, you owe him nothing. Not your energy, not your presence, not your response. Because when a woman finally chooses herself, the world around her changes. Suddenly, the men who once played with her time fall silent. The ones who couldn't give her clarity disappear. And the ones who hid their feelings are forced to confront them. Because there's nothing more powerful than a woman who knows she's wanted, but refuses to shrink just to be chosen. You are the storm he tried to outrun, the calm he couldn't understand, the lesson he wasn't ready to learn. So let him hide. Let him fumble in the shadows of his own fear. Because your light was never meant to chase anything that runs from it. And when he's ready, truly ready, he'll come not with confusion, not with games, but with clarity, with presence, with intention. And until then, you'll be here, whole, untouched by the chaos, unshaken by the silence, because you finally understand. He wants you, but you don't need him to say it anymore. You felt it, and that's enough.